Hey, what's up everybody? New Tekken 8 trailer for Jin's gameplay has just been shown. Let's take a look at it and see what kind of interesting new stuff is in there. First up is a new low attack. This is very reminiscent of Dragunov down to low high crushes, causes both opponents to crouch. Looks a lot like that, timing-wise too. Jin then does it while standing forward, gets blocked, and when the opponent counterattacks, he does his down one, which is now a power crush instead of a wall bounce. And the follow-up looks like it's probably just a canned animation on hit. There might be an extension there. I have a theory that a lot of Jin's like devil versions of moves are like 1+2 extensions. It's hard to say. That could go either way, but that might just be an animation that you get when down one connects as a power crush. You'll notice that the low attack has a devil glow to it. I think this is just part of the animation and nothing else more to that for now. Next we see a sidestep 2 attack, which also has that devil glow. But when you notice at the end of this, watch his eyes flash as he transitions into crouch dash. It's kind of hard to see it because of all the glowing effects, but you'll see his eyes glow a bright red at the end of his move when he does the transition into crouch dash, and then from there he does his traditional hellsweep, but has a different extension now. This looks like it's crouch dash 4-2. Maybe this replaces the flip over kick. Just another mid, probably good for combo ending because of the spike or floor breaks or whatever. But do note the eye sparks on the transition into crouch dash. You're going to see a lot of stance transition stuff, and I think there might be some interesting things in there. Next up is his 2-4 Punisher. Also has a new transition, but this is into the Zen stance. Just holding forward. Notice there's no eye flash, there's no devil whatsoever, just a stand transition. And out of that, he does what's probably an up forward 4, which was like the Devil Jin dive kick from the air. Kind of looks like a short hop, the way Kazuya has an up forward 3, just a little quick jump kick to avoid lows, which is what he does here. He jumps over a duck jab with a 4 spiking kick. Next we see Jin's crouch dash 1, the normal one he's always had, connects as a launcher, and then he does a 1-2 1+2 string. The third hit is new. It's a big flashy devil swipe. I'm thinking it's a 1+2 input, and it causes the new version of the bounce state where they land flat on their back, your combo mechanic. And then he does back 3 into Zen stance, and then this is possibly Zen 1-2, or it's become Zen 1+2. Like I said before, you maybe activate devil stuff as a finisher. I don't know. I think it's just animation though. This is probably just Zen 1-2 that has this new animation. Just like we saw a few things with Kazuya, right? He had a couple of strings that just caused these canned animations for some flair when they connected. Next up, we see a revised version of what's probably his 1+2. Same like bop, 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 3 hits, only they're the opposite hands this time for some reason. Maybe it's mirrored, who knows? But this is going to be one of his heat engager moves, I think they're called. The moves that cause heat automatically when they hit. So he does that, and this next part is just some quick string nonsense. We also saw some other quick string nonsense in the Kazuya video. I believe these are the heat smash, the finishing move you get that uses up the rest of your heat gauge for that. You have the little 8 energy stocks. You can use that on an FADC basically, or you can use it for your finisher. This is the heat finisher, I believe. Just does that cool damage cinematic and ends your state from there. Now we see the old faithful counter hit forward 4. He transitions into Zen, but instead of going into crouch dash, he does what's probably the new Zen 1+2. It's also got the activated devil glow, but again, I think it's just part of its animation. It's a big, think of it as a huge uppercut launcher. It's just super duper flashy. But it causes that new combo bounce state, right? It's like an automatic screw attack. Think of it that way, right? He just does the uppercut and they land in this bounce state, and then he does the heat burst, the starter move, the one that everybody has that transitions to heat on hit or block. And if they're getting hit, it causes this own unique like sort of bounce state, like a separate combo extender. It's almost like Rage Drive that got you a second screw attack. This is what this feels like. He's already used his quote bounce state, but the heat burst gets him another one that activates his heat mode. And from there, he does his 3-1 string into Zen stance and does 3+4. But it all hits. That usually doesn't work. That hitbox has been adjusted so it hits him a little bit quicker. So that could be a cool little combo ender you might see a lot. Next up, this is likely a new string in the form of forward 3-1 as a new heat engager. It does the same thing. When it hits, it causes the run-up transition in heat state. but you don't get anything for free from some of these. It might depend. Some are launchers, some are just advantage. So Kazuya tries to attack back, and what Jin does here is his down back 1+2, which was rendered kind of dumb in Tekken 7. All that it did was activate key charge for him, but it had this weird pushback stun. If you make bodily contact with him, it would push you away. Now in this game, whether it's because it absorbed an attack or because it just hits, it's hard to say, but it bounces them off at Jin and wall splats Kazuya with a hit. So it causes impact no matter what. But when he did this stance in Tekken Tag 2 and he had a Mishima as a partner, it would activate his Omen stance. His battle stance would switch to Heihachi's momentarily, and he got a different set of Mishima wavedash moves out of it. And the first one you see right here is Omen Thunder God Fist. He has Heihachi's, the Mishima version of Crouch Dash 1, which is the Thunder God Fist, and you can see it's got blue sparks. So he's got a Heihachi move out of the Omen stance, which he used to have a couple games ago. So that seems to be back in one way or another. That causes the wall splat again, and he finishes off with the traditional Savage Sword. Down back 2-2-3. So that's an interesting little nugget to digest there. If he can do Omen stance whenever he wants to, maybe that's a property during heat, but it looks like he could just do that charge up move and transition into his classic Mishima stance, which is very cool. He used to have a different hell sweep, he had traditional electrics, all kind of cool stuff out of that. So that's really curious to see more of. This is probably forward 2. Is now a heat exchanger, or heat, what's it called? Heat engager, not a heat exchanger. Forward 2, Demon's Paw lands as a heat attack. He runs up. It looks like this one is a knockdown and a launcher, right? This one, they are not able to block this. They're on the ground already. Airborne, whatever you want to call it. And then he does Laser Scraper. Back forward 2, 1, down forward 2. The uppercut version that got added now causes the bounce state, the screw attack, whatever you want to call it, in combos. So then he just runs up and does the same old back 3 that we're going to see a lot. Back 3 into Zen stance. Only here, Zen 1-3, instead of wall carrying, now contains the animation from his Power Crush. Tekken 7, Jin had one of the dumber power crushes in the game when it was just 3+4. That's what it was. It was that straight kick into a big swing kick as like a hit throw. Now they moved that animation into this. Zen 1-3 now contains that whole animation from his power crush because we saw down 1 is his new power crush that he's going to use more effectively. And the last thing we see is counter hit, electric wind hook fist. At one point in Tekken 7, his needed to be a counter hit, but then they changed it later on, so as long as it's electric, it will cause an automatic tailspin for a launcher. But here, Jin just does Rage Art, and then finishes up from there. Rage Art is nothing special. I think Kazuya's is definitely cooler, but it is what it is. It's kind of restrained, honestly, but it's still cool. You know, you're going to feel great when you hit people with it as an ender. So that's it. Some things to think about is the devil glow that he gets from several attacks. I think they're just animations. I think he just unleashes the devil, swipes, and then it goes back to normal. It just comes in and out as he attacks. A lot like the way they did Kazuya in Smash Brothers. His devil attacks would just come out. He didn't have to transform. He would just switch into the devil, fire lasers, switch back, whatever it might be. So I think it's what they've done here. But it's definitely worth noting the 2 instances where he transitions directly into Crouch Dash, which were his Sidestep 2 and the parry, Omen parry thing. His eyes flash bright red when he does that. I don't know if that's supposed to be a tell or if that is connected to some sort of devil mechanic we don't know about yet. I think it's just a tell. I think it's just, here's what I'm doing. I'm activating my power, you know what I mean? Except he only does it when he goes into Mishima Crouch Dash. He does not do it when he goes into Zen. You saw that out of the traditional back 3 and in the new version in 2.4. Going right into Zen has no tells whatsoever. It just does the hand thing, and then there's your Zen moves. We saw a couple of moves that have animations probably just added to them. Zen 1-2 is probably one of those, so is Zen 1-3. I think these are just animation follow-ups added to successful moves for style. That way every character gets those style points. You're going to see Law use nunchucks, you're going to see Nina use her guns, Kazuya and Jin are going to blast you with laser. I think they're just canned animations, right? They're just a big fancier knockdown that the camera gets to pan out for to show off the game a little bit. I think they're just style points. We saw Jin use 3 of his heat engage moves, and we saw what's probably the heat ender and a couple of the heat dashes being in use. A couple of things that are interesting questions is the hell sweep, lunging low right kick with the 2 follow-up. Question is that's probably a natural combo. I'm sure it knocks him down. That's a mid. I'm sure it'll be launch punishable just like other hell sweep things. But does he still maintain the trip combo off a single hit? That'd be curious. Does he lose the hell sweep combo again and just have to rely on the damage? That's kind of curious to find out. The Zen stance seems to have a lot of improvements. One of them is the up forward 4, that quick little spike kick. One of them is 1+2, possibly replaced by the big swinging launcher attack. We don't know for sure. There could be some. It could be forward 1+2, right? And he has them both. So there have been some revisions to the heat stance, or to the Zen stance, for sure. As well as probably a few different ways to access it, and then at least 1 or 2 different ways for Jin to go into crouch dash. Because he could always do Zen and then crouch dash from there, right? That was always the thing he could do. That's not what we've seen in a couple of cases. The ones where his eyes flash, those are him going directly into his Mishima crouch dash. I think that's the tell that you're getting something different, maybe. I don't know. But he does have his left uppercut, his right hook fist, and he has the low lunging roundhouse kick out of his normal wave dash. That seems fine. But now he's got the Mishima Omen stance, potentially, which now gives him access to traditional electrics, the Omen Thunder God Fist, and a different hell sweep option. Lots of cool stuff in there. So, for what we've seen so far from the trailer for him and Kazuya, and I guess Nina too to a degree, I can't tell as readily. These are some very different characters. They've either just added tons of bells and whistles, or they have reformatted the characters quite severely, which I think is a great addition. Get rid of some of the stuff we don't need, repurpose moves that have none of their own, give everything a reason to exist, and then amplify those reasons, make them fit the puzzle a little bit better. I think if that's what they've done, I think it's looked great so far. So if you see anything else, new notes, or caught something I missed, or corrections, or anything like that, please feel free to leave a comment down below. Click that subscribe and notification buttons to get the alerts whenever the next one of these videos comes out, and hopefully I will see you in there. Till then, later.